Hi there, my name is Dillon Kivo, entrepreneur and owner of Authority Titans. So I'm so glad that you joined this course, the Authority Accelerator. I'm so excited to help you build your brand and elevate your authority so you can grow your revenue just like I did. I'm going to be extremely transparent with you. It has taken me about 2 to 3 months to comprise all of this data and information and notes and bullet points to make sure that I'm sharing with you the best knowledge that I possibly can. There's been a lot of different stories. There's been a lot of, different life lessons, mainly business lessons that I'm going to share with you. And I wanted to make sure that it's something that I'm actually able to deliver and not just just riff off whatever's on the top of my head. Anyways, I'm going to start off by giving you guys, just a quick bullet points that some of you may or not know about me. I'm the editor-in-chief of Kivo Daily Magazine. Started that in 2018. It gets several 100,000 visitors every single month. I'm the CEO of Authority Titans, which most of you already know that by now. I'm at Wall Street Journal, USA Today, Barnes & Noble, and Amazon bestselling author for my book, The Authority Playbook, which was such a fun experience, and I know that a good amount of you have already purchased this book, and if not, I've already sent you a copy by now, so you will get it for sure. Let's see, I've been featured on many of the world's largest websites, some of the biggest publications such as Forbes, Entrepreneur, HuffPost, NBC, Fox, CBS, USA Today, ESPN, and literally like hundreds of others, right? So it's what I do for a living. I have to be a product of my own service. And so no one's going to believe me that I can get them into these, world-renowned publications if I don't do it for myself. That's why I decided to do it. I've advised some of the most iconic Fortune 500 companies, celebrities, executives, and nonprofit organizations as well, even some churches and stuff. And I've played a pretty big role in the success of many top tiers, athletes, entrepreneurs, and so on and so forth, right? So some of the individuals such as Dan Fleischman, he actually forwarded my book. I was fortunate for that. Brad Lee, Jim Quick. Jim Quick is actually, I don't know if you can see, no, it's right out of the frame. Ice Cube, Travis Pastrana, the motorcycle dude, Bedros Koulian, entrepreneur, Sean Whalen with Lions Not Sheep, which is a pretty cool brand, and also CBDMD. They were the first CBD company to go public. This was in 2018, and I was their PR director for about a year and a half. So that was a really cool experience. I learned a lot. The work that I did with Ice Cube, for example, it wasn't on his music. I'm not the one who helped him, pop his career 50 years ago, but it's called the Big Three tournament. It was for basketball, and so I was able to help, work with their PR director, and we teamed up it was a co-brand, like a joint venture thing that they were doing together with CBDMD. I was head of PR for that specific movement. So there's two ways you can look at what I just told you, right? Some of you are thinking, damn, Dillon, why are you bragging so much? Whereas some of you are thinking, holy crap, how were you able to accomplish something so awesome, so much by 29 years old? I just turned 29 about a week or two ago. Truth is, you're both right. You see, when it comes to building your authority and your niche, it's very important to be polarizing, super, super polarizing. Sometimes you're going to need to, be able to do and say things you wouldn't normally do so you can truly stand out from the crowd, right? In order to be relevant and remembered, you have to be polarizing. That's how you stand out. Have you guys ever heard the saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease? If you look and sound and think just like everybody else, you're going to get lost in the shuffle. There's a reason most of the top, influencers, celebrities, and world famous people are well known. They're super polarizing, right? They're extremely different. And sometimes it's not even the best way, but people tend to remember them. Before anything, let me tell you my story. I'll do my best to kind of wrap things up as far, I don't want to tell you, I don't want to give you an hour-long story, but it might just take a couple minutes. Like some of us here, so I started business at a very young age, right? When I was just a kid I grew up in Corona, California. My favorite sport I played for many years, I played hockey from age 4 to 20, 21-ish. I was actually pretty good at it. A little fun fact that I don't think any of you guys really know about me is that when I was 12, I was 12 or 13 years old, I was actually ranked within the top 10 fastest skaters in North America, between America and Canada, which is pretty cool. But overall, I was really just your average kid who enjoyed playing outside with friends, climbing trees, played a bunch of paintball and stuff like that, and really doing anything. I enjoyed doing anything besides school and homework stuff, right? So just probably most of you guys, right? A lot of entrepreneurs, business people, they're not really they're not really like scholastic type of individuals. Some are, but I'd say most aren't. I actually didn't go to college, funny enough. But anyways, I started getting into business for the first time when I was 12. I walked to school. It was about a mile away from where I lived as a kid. And on the way to school, there was this huge factory. And next to the factory, there was a really big farm with, hundreds of cows and pigs and animals. Anyways, so what we would do, my brother and I, we would go to school with a couple extra backpacks. We would hop the factory fence, and they had these like boxes and boxes of Mars candy boxes with like literally like thousands and thousands of candy bars just laying just like in the dirt. I don't know if they were expired, what the case was, but anyways, we were able to actually fill up our backpacks. We did this for like 2 to 3 months before we got caught by the principal. Fill up our backpacks, jump over the fence, walk to school, and then for a few months we would just sell the candy bars at school. I'm not really proud of it now because it kind of sounds like stealing, I think, to anybody, but we can kind of keep that our secret. I don't know if it was just like, they clearly weren't selling at a store, so I don't know the whole story, and we were so young, we were just like, quick way to make some money. So I used to do the whole lemonade stand and all of that stuff too, and make a couple of dollars here and there. But this was the first time where I really started making $20, $30, $40 a day. And that was something at 12 years old. Weekly allowance, maybe it was $20, right? So if I could make that in a day, that was pretty cool. And so because that experience, I really started understanding margin, right? Buy something for a little and you sell it for double, triple, quadruple, whatever the case is. And it was just simple, back of the napkin math, but it was like, cool. The idea of business is you buy something for less and you sell it for more. Anyways, fast forward to high school. Let's see, my friend Jake and I, we started this company called Beyond Creation. It was actually a nonprofit organization. And what's funny about that is the story I just told you was kind of the opposite of nonprofit stuff, right? So with this whole thing, Beyond Creation, I was really artistic in school. I still am, like drawing and stuff like that. And so I'd get really bored in class and I'd draw these really cool pictures. And what we decided to do one summer, because at this point we kind of had no money, we were probably 16, 17-year-old. What we did was we turned my graphics, my buddy Cody was a graphic designer, we turned the graphics into t-shirts. And at first we just started selling t-shirts to friends and family and, friends at people at school, teachers, what have you. And then from there we said, holy crap, we could really do something with this thing. Like a lot of, hundreds and hundreds of people were buying these shirts like all, every single month from us. And that's when we started, or personally, Jake and I, we started really getting into church and, we wanted to start kind of giving back and find a way we really wanted to start like feeding homeless people. We figured, wow, we can sell these shirts. We could sell these shirts for, $15, $20 a piece, maybe a couple hundred every single month, make a couple $1,000. At the end of every month, we can go down with different churches or speak in front of churches and then, sell to their audience or congregation, if you will. And then we could take that money and then we can go to the parks and we could pray for people. We could, give them free, give them water and juices and all that stuff. And that's what we did. We did that for probably a year or so. Again, I'm telling you this story because I was learning business without even learning it, right? Like I was doing it, but I didn't really know what business was. It was just a thing that we did. And so when I was 18, this is after high school. Again, I didn't go to college. I ended up moving to Virginia Beach to pursue my hockey career still. All through all the stories I just told you, I was playing hockey the entire time, all the way up until finishing high school, still playing hockey. When I was about 18, I moved to Virginia Beach. And from there, that's when I played hockey from 18 to 21. Did pretty well, got hurt a couple times, a couple concussions, really bad wrist injuries and stuff like that. And I wasn't, as you can tell, I'm not the biggest, nor was I ever the biggest or tallest, kid in the room. And so with hockey, it didn't really help. And so I've always been very realistic with myself as far as like, what my true potential is and how far I could probably get with something. And I just felt like my hockey career was really starting to come to a halt, essentially. And so I was like, well, what's going to be next? And growing up in Southern California, being a firefighter was kind of like your hometown hero dream type of job, right? And so I was like, I'm going to shoot for that. I could still help people. It's kind of a cool job, cool sounding job. And it's very active, right? So coming from a sports background, I wanted to continue to stay in good shape and, kind of make money while doing it and helping people. It was like a triple whammy. It was great. I did that for About a year and a half, 2 years, I did the whole EMT stuff, got my advanced EMT license, and I was doing that for a while. And the problem with it is on the East Coast, it's very different than the West Coast, which I didn't know until I got hired. I started working with Norfolk Fire Department, to be specific. When I got hired, I looked at my pay stub and I'm like, this is after, you get paid every 2 weeks or something. And I was looking, I'm like, holy crap, I only got like $1,100 for 2 weeks of work. So, 11 times 2 is like 2,200-ish per month. It's just not enough. It was like 30 grand a year or something after taxes and stuff. And I was just like, at the time I was, it was more than I was making before, but I was like, that's not really gonna get me where I want to go. Cause every year you get like a 5% increase, right? So we're talking in 20 years, I'll be making like 50 grand, right? So long story, it wasn't going to work out long term. And so I was like, well, crap. Got no college, great at hockey, but I'm not going to go pro. I don't really have many other skills. What am I going to do? By some serendipitous twist of fate, I met this billionaire named Paul. I was about 22 years old. As soon as I quit doing the firefighting stuff, I quit without knowing really, I didn't have a plan B. But I just knew that was not going to be my plan A because long-term speaking, it wasn't going to work. I told him, basically that I'd help him with his personal brand. I was really into growing brands, right? Because I've always been artistic, so I understood brand. Just like Beyond Creation, I was kind of like the brand guy, somewhat marketing. I told him I'd work for free, even though I knew nothing at the time about really building like websites. And with long nights and tinkering and watching YouTube tutorials, and I built a website for him. He was happy. Probably wasn't the best work he's ever seen, but again, it was free. And I did stuff like social media, stuff like that for him for free. So fast forward 6 months. Remember, I'm living in Virginia. He's living in Nashville, Tennessee. He calls me and says, hey, Dillon, I see a lot of potential in you. I want to take you under my wing. How would you like to move to Nashville, Tennessee and work on bigger projects with me? Mind you, he's a billionaire. I had no doubt in my mind about what I was going to do. So I flew over to Nashville. I worked with Paul in person worked with him total for about 3 years, but I worked with him in person for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years completely. I couldn't believe how lucky I was. He actually didn't go to college either, so we kind of had that, he was a real inspiration for me. But just months earlier, I failed as an entrepreneur because the shirt thing didn't really go far. Didn't do well with hockey. I was basically an injured athlete, down on my luck as a firefighter who was literally living paycheck to paycheck. I was trying everything under the sun to get myself, basically my startup out there, right? And it was really, really tough. I was figuring out, I was looking at websites, I was looking at Facebook groups, Instagram, networking events, courses, podcasts, everything, and none of it ever worked. And so once I met Paul, it like I said, it really, really changed my life. Him and we built several businesses together, and he taught me really the foundation of business, of what it truly takes to build like a world-class brand. A lot of those lessons that I learned from him, the billionaire, are things that I'm going to be able to teach to you guys. Through those 3 years of working with him, a lot of time when I first started, I was mowing his lawn. I was picking up his kids from school. I was getting groceries. I was barbecuing. I was helping the gardeners. Stuff like that, right? I mean, I was getting paid to do it. At that point, maybe $1,000, $1,500 every single month. So like I still got paid, a week. So it was like $4,000 every single month. But this is the thing. There was about 30 minutes to an hour, 2 hours if I was lucky, that I'd get to sit down with Paul and just pour all my questions into him. 30 minutes to an hour every single day for a couple years, you get a lot of information doing that. But most importantly is I watched, right? So of course I was doing from my version of the boring work was like the lawn stuff, cleaning the pool, stuff like that. It probably sounds a little worse than it really was, right? But it was a beautiful house, and I was still able to be within the environment, right? Like even washing his cars, right? Lambo, Rolls Royce, Porsches, pretty much any supercar, exotic car you can think of. He owned him and his wife, and so it was for me. I always say half of it is just understanding what's possible. in life, right? Like he really opened the door to really what was possible. I grew up, my dad, sold carpet and my mom was a hairdresser. There was no Lambos and, Porsches and stuff like that, supercars in our driveway ever. We'd never lived in a house bigger than, 2,000 square feet, right? And so it was really cool to meet Paul and just understand what was truly possible for my life and what could be, right? Even though at the time I didn't really have the lessons or knowledge how to get to where I wanted to go, it was cool. The first step is understanding what is possible, like what you can actually achieve. And then the second part to that is, okay, now you need the knowledge to get there. So it was cool. I was in charge of PR for him, his social media stuff, his website stuff, and we built businesses together, and it was great. Fast forward, I was about 25, and I kind of felt like at that point I learned everything that I really, really need to, like, from him. And I was very fortunate for the opportunity. So I decided it was best if I kind of go out on my own, start up my own PR firm. And I chose PR specifically because out of all the things that I did for Paul, PR was the one thing that really moved the needle, within his business, his revenue numbers and stuff like that. And I saw, like, getting him into these major publications, Forbes, Huffington Post, what have you, I saw the true impact that it had on his business. And so I was just like, this is what I want to do, but I want to do it for thousands of other people. Let's just fast forward a little bit to today. 29 years old. So all of it happened about 4 years ago. In between now and then, holy crap, I've definitely accomplished a lot. We've made over the last few years, $5, $6, $7 million in sales. I have a beautiful office here in Portland, Oregon now. I moved here about 3-4 years ago. We have about closer to 20 full-time employees, some kind of spread around, all over the world. And they've been working with me for 3 to 4 years. So it's cool to be able to also support others in the process, right? Like business for me hasn't always just been about how much money can I make for myself. It's sure, yes, that matters, but it's like, who else can I bring with me and uplift in the process? Kind of like with what Paul did to me. I kind of look at my employees as my way and my version of somewhat giving back. I don't take anything at all for granted. Trust me, I would never be where I am today without them. Not a shot. And I hope that you guys feel the same way. But anyways, I've worked with, I've named all the names. I've told you the publications I've been in. I have done the hard work when it comes to building the brand, not only for myself, but also for hundreds, if not, we've served thousands of clients, about 4,000 to date with Authority Titans. We've published over 50,000 articles since we started. Don't plan on stopping anytime soon. We generally do around 10 to 15,000 per year as far as article publishing. And we do that because that's what grows the brand the fastest. And it builds trust, it builds credibility. And overall, it is how you become the authority in your niche, which that's what this is all about. So we're going to get into all the fun stuff now, but I just wanted to give you a little insight about who I am, who you're learning from, and most importantly, I truly do believe that I am completely qualified to be teaching you guys stuff. When it comes down to it too, think of this whole course as kind of like if you're building a bridge and you start at A and you're trying to get to Z. This course, don't expect it to take you from point A all the way to point Z. If it takes you to point B, that's a success. If it takes you all the way to midway through, that's an even greater success. But remember, learning is a journey. And so I really do. I know that this is going to help you for sure with your brand and teaching you guys how to become the authority and grow a world-class brand. But you want to make sure you're doing other things too, right? Like this, this might be an hour, 2-3 hours worth of content, but you're going to need a lot more than that. And along the way, I'll try to give you guys tools and things that you guys can utilize to continue learning. But just understand, if you can learn 1 or 2 really, really powerful nuggets out of this course, that is a massive success. Could you imagine if you learned, 1 or 2 really, really big, important nuggets every week of your life? That'd be a lot. That'd be a really good success. Like this whole book, for example. I didn't write this, nor did I learn all of the information that I was able to convey in this book overnight, or with one course, or one book that I read, or one person I spoke to. This is like 7 or 8 years of learning that it took me to create this. And the reason why I was able to get the Wall Street Journal USA Today bestseller is because I understand what it takes to market to thousands of people in a short amount of time to purchase a book. Typically, I have to get like 5,000 or 6,000 purchases within a week's period in order to qualify, or at least to hit like the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. You need to know branding, you need to know marketing, and you have to understand how to give value. If you marry those three things together, you will definitely have a winning brand for sure. And if you can't give value, you don't have a real business, unfortunately. So anyways, let's jump right into it. I'm really excited to get rolling with you guys.